So Vice President Harris holding a call with her campaign's top donors this afternoon as she faced questions about how the campaign was able to plow through $1 billion and still came up short. Also faces questions about what she might do next, right? Lindy Lee joins us now, senior advisor to the DNC, who served on the Harris National Finance Committee. Welcome back, Lindy. And so you were on this call.
Let me just say to everyone on this call, I am so grateful for you, and I'm so thankful to you.
As a donor of in the Democratic Party, and is it over? What was it like? What can you tell us?
Thank you so much for having me. Yes, she actually held 2 calls, one for her top donors and one for grassroots. I was speaking and texting with fellow attendees of the call, and we were amazed by how self-congratulatory the tone was.
What we did in 107 days was unprecedented.
I don't recall, the call was about 20, 30 minutes. I don't recall anyone taking responsibility for the fact that we spent about $2 billion across Super PAC and the campaign and came up so significantly short. We lost 7 swing states.
Self-congratulatory in what types of things were being said?
They praised Harris as a visionary leader. I believe at one moment during the call, she was talking about her Thanksgiving recipe. And I don't say this with any malice or anything. I'm just merely conveying what happened. I think I was stunned to hear that, given just the extent and brutality of the loss and the fact that DNC staffers, at least two thirds have been fired summarily. And a lot of them are at a loss as to what to do. I'm just frankly stunned that there was no sort of postmortem or an analysis of how we can do better, what sort of lessons were learned. It was really just patting each other on the back, congratulating each other on I'm not sure what, and saying we'll see you for Christmas.
Wow. So, but anything about what she wants to do next? Is that the point of having calls like this, that she wants donors to stay on her side? You know, we talked earlier about whether she'd run again in 28 or whether she would maybe run for governor of California in 26. What's the thinking in the donor community about either one of those possibilities?
To put it bluntly, they are not pleased at the prospect. I think this is definitely her attempt to stay close to her donors, but it's also the DNC's way of staying close with the donors. And it's just something that it's just their attempt at donor management. I hope you give me credit for being very honest about this, because this is very raw and very real for me. And yeah, a lot of donors are not happy. A number of them are blaming people in Obama world. That's who they helicoptered in after Biden stepped down. A lot of consultants in Obama world came over and took over the campaign apparatus. The same people who were whispering and leaking to the press that Harris should be replaced at the top of the ticket when Biden was running. So you can imagine just the hypocrisy underlying a lot of it.
You know, there was this podcast where some of them talked, I don't know if it was similar, for the first time, about what went wrong and the reflections on it. Jen O'Malley Dillon, who ran the campaign, and others, same people, right? Here's a clip from Jen O'Malley Dillon on what you talked about at the beginning. How they run through all this money, which has become something you and others have been saying, well, hey, what's going on here? Here's what she said on the podcast about it.
Of course, you know, you can look at, did we get the best deal here? This was quite costly here. It's quite expensive. At the end of the day, though, I think if you look at the spend we had, the majority of the money we spent, it was to reach voters. We are going to be in a good space across the board, across all of our entities, without debt that carries forward.
All right. So what would you say about that? Same type of thing today? And how would you characterize those types of comments in terms of how connected they are to reality in your view?
In my view, it's extremely detached from reality. And of course, they failed to mention that hundreds of millions of dollars went to them and their friends, right, through these consulting firms. These consultants were the primary beneficiaries of the Harris campaign, not the American people, not the donors, not anybody else. It was the people who, go from one campaign to the next, looking for their next plum gig. And this is extremely honest, but it's true. They fail upwards and they don't learn any lessons, and they can just keep going because there's no accountability.
So what's next? I mean, are you done with this in terms of, are you done doing, raising money for Democrats, giving money to Democrats? I know you've been very outspoken, and are other people feeling the same way that in the donor community that, gives money to the Democrats?
I don't know a single person who doesn't feel the same way. That's the extent of the frustration.
We talk about it all the time. Being a daughter of parents who are active in the civil rights movement, I know and believe that the best movements that are about progress in our country mean that it's leaders that we are dedicated to the coalition, to bringing people together that seemingly have nothing in common, but have everything in common. A coalition where we bring people together based on a deep love of our country and our understanding that the strength of our country will be a function of our willingness to put in the work, and that we will do that work with a sense of joy, yes, with a sense of work ethic and understanding it's going to be hard, but it's good work. It's good work to be engaged in a collective fight for America's future. And it means so much to me and to Governor Walz that you knocked on doors, you called friends, you called in favors. You said, hey, I showed up at your softball game. Now I need you to show up at the campaign office. You put in the time. It was personal for you. And you gave all that you could to support our campaign. Because of your efforts, get this, we raised an historic $1.4 billion, almost $1.5 billion from grassroots supporters alone, the most in presidential campaign history. Nearly 8 million donors contributed an average donation of about $56 to fuel our people-powered campaign. And understand that the work that we did included the work that so many of you here did, which is to talk to first-time voters. Many of you are first-time voters. And to talk about how being involved can make a difference. And that remains true. And that's one of the pieces that I just want us to please take away, that our fight for freedom and for opportunity and for the promise of America, it included, for example, almost 4 million first-time contributors to our campaign because of the work you did of helping people know that they can be engaged and that they're not outside, that they're inside, that we're all in this together. And that work continues. The work must continue of reminding ourselves that we have an ability to stay engaged in a way that will make a difference. The work that you all did, it's going to have lasting effect. Again, I'll say, the election didn't turn out like we wanted it to. Certainly not as we planned for it to. But understand that the work we put into it was about empowering people. That's the spirit with the work we did. Our spirit and our work was about saying that it is a strength that we each have to lift people up as opposed to beating people down. It is a strength we have that has lasting effect. So all that work that you did that was about engaging with other people, engaging with perfect strangers and in their face seeing a neighbor, that has lasting effect. It reminds people that there are leaders like you who care and will bring us together. And sometimes in the darkest moments, people lose faith in that. Are there people out there that feel that way? And you reminded people that yes, there are. And there are a lot of us. And that strength cannot be taken from us. That is our strength. It cannot be taken from us. So listen, as I said the day after the election, I still strongly believe the light of America's promise will burn bright as long as we never give up and we keep fighting. And the fight that fueled our campaign, a fight for freedom and opportunity, that did not end on November 5th. A fight for the dignity of all people, that did not end on November 5th. A fight for the future, a future in which all people receive the promise of America? No. A fight that is about a fight for the ideals of our nation? The ideals that reflect the promise of America, that fight's not over. So look, we still have a lot to fight for, okay? A future where every American can pursue their dreams, ambitions, and aspirations, where the women of America have the right to make decisions about their own body, not their government telling them what to do. Our fight for the rule of law, for freedom for all, for equal justice, for the sacred principle that everyone, no matter where they start out, has certain fundamental rights and freedoms that must be upheld. That's not over. That fight's still in us, and it burns strong. And I know this is an uncertain time. I'm clear-eyed about that. I know you're clear-eyed about it. And it feels heavy. And I just have to remind you, don't you ever let anybody take your power from you. You have the same power that you did before November 5th. And you have the same purpose that you did. And you have the same ability to engage and inspire. So don't ever let anybody or any circumstance take your power from you. Look, this mission that we have, it takes hard work. But as you've heard me say many times, we like hard work. Hard work is good work. Hard work can be joyful work. And in doing our work, we will remain committed and intentional about building community, building coalitions, reminding people that we all have so much more in common than what separates us. We will be armed with the faith and the fuel